Hi, welcome to Time to Draw. This is Lynn Berry, and I'm going to draw a little bit. Uh, Today I'm going to show off one of my favorite original characters. Her name is Alindra Vordrinn. She's a villain from a science fiction story I'm working on called Tesseract. Currently, I've got a little bit of non-photo blue, just simply here. I've got a little non-photo blue here on the paper. You can kind of see the outline. I've got head, shoulders, hand. Here's an arm and her sword. It's here. Here's the waist, and I've got some hip. I know that seems really technical. Really, the idea here is just to have fun with it and to show off a little bit about how I draw. I'm going to go ahead and put in a few more details in with my non-photo blue, and while I do that, I'm going to talk about the character a little bit. See just I don't know what kinds of fun imaginary things I think about. Does it show this is one of my first videos doing this sort of thing? Because it is. That's fine. We're gonna have fun. From where she's at right here, her head isn't as well done as the rest of hers as far as definition goes. So I'm going to add a little bit because I want her to be looking this direction. So really my aim right now is just to get an idea of where she's going to be looking. And I do actually have a light reference for her head and face. I'm just going to use it to get the position more than anything else. Part of that is because as much as my characters might be inspired by actors that I see, I also don't want to be fully married to the idea of it must be this way. You know, part of it is I'm just trying to actually draw on my own too. So aside from what I've already told you, you don't know a whole much about Alindra at this point. I'm just using this eraser to tone down the line a little bit. What I can tell you that will be readily apparent as soon as I get any kind of detail on this face is that Alindra likes to smile. And she has a very nice smile. It is very kind and it's warm. You shouldn't feel anything bad about it whatsoever. And I know. And like I said before, yes, this is the villain. So, but being active is one of the things that she enjoys. And when I write villains, I don't write villains to say, oh, here's a pure evil. It's more in nature of antagonist than anything else. So that's my goal right here. Like I said, this is non-photo blue. I'm going on really light, really easy. I'm not trying to do anything that can't be undone later. And really, I'm doing this more I'm doing this equally to have fun with it, just as much as to show off for the camera. I'm not going to lie, I'm showing off for the camera. Okay. And again, I'm just doing this to get an idea of where everything's at. So of course, with a female character, there's one thing that you have to keep in mind in a drawing that you really don't have to worry as much about with a male character, and that is the bust line. Even with a female character that has a very small cup size, it's still there, partially because of the curvature of the body. The skeleton is shaped differently. So I think that's what I'm going to be going after a little bit right here. Here's her pelvis in this area right here. So I'm going to put this is just kind of a guideline at the moment. It may change for where her bust should be. But I'm actually going to go right back over here and play a little bit more with her collar and her neckline. So Alindra has a very martial arts background. Well, not the most martial arts that there is. Secret training, hand-to-hand combat. But there's also this little weapon. We'll talk about that more in a little bit. One of the things about her is that she has a dancer's physique. So broad movements, very swaying, that sort of thing. I think I was just defining that section a little too much a moment ago, but that's all right. One of the joys about drawing is finding where things are, because sometimes, much like writing, the art will sometimes have ideas where things should be, and you haven't even thought of them. So it's never a bad idea to listen to what is being told to you. Listen to the muse of the pencil, or the stylus, the paintbrush. I'm just kind of putting something in there to get in her weapon, her hand, so that I can have her weapon in just a moment. One thing I heard in the past is that it's a really good idea to just find a starting point and just spread lines throughout connecting to that. And it kind of works. Well, since we're here right now, I'm doing in. Yes, it's a blade. It's an interesting blade, though. It's a warp saber, is what it's called. I'm not trying to put a defined point in there because it may change. And as things change with it, it has a distortion field around it. So I guess that's something that I kind of have to tell you about too. So this setting works off of mirrors, and the mirrors can start over here to send something over here. It doesn't seem too special, does it? But what makes this setting a little different is that I can put something here, and I can put something else over here. And when this travels over to this spot, this other item will take its place. So it exchanges two locations. It's different, it's fun. Mirrors can be big, they can be small. But again, like I said, this is a guideline right here, so I'm just kind of playing things out. This is to detail the motion of her clothing. So I'm just trying to get an idea of where some things are at the moment. Doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, I don't think this is going to be. I kind of wish I'd done this the other day, but I was planning to stream my drawing of this, and I couldn't get the streaming to work out quite the way I wanted to, but these things happen sometimes. But that's all right. Okay, so her outfit is, you can tell up here, it looks kind of like a martial arts gi, which is kind of the idea, but not really. I'll probably subdue the collar a little bit here in a minute when I get to drawing my F pencil. For now, I'm just trying to get more in on how it works, how everything is going to move. Yeah, this should be more here. So as you see, her hand had to, and the arm had to kind of change a little bit in position. That's all right. I think it turned out a little better. So she actually has pants on, but because of her top, it actually comes out a little bit here. So this is actually cloth. It's not leg. Her leg is actually here. Just making a few minor adjustments. Remember, this is non-photo blue, so this is more than anything else just to give me an idea of where some things are. Okay. So, yeah, the more I look at it, I don't think this foot is going to be in the right place. Don't worry about that later. Okay, so this needs to be cleaned up a little bit. She's twisting, so her body is turning like this. So this is basically right here. Her midsection is facing us, whereas up here is not. So one of the things I enjoy drawing sometimes is hair. Just because of the shading and the way the fibers can play off it, so you can be very streamlined, very non-streamlined. Lots of things possible with it. Uh, I'll leave that. I like to leave a few stray just because, well, no one's hair is perfect. Even perfect hair has a few that are stray and loose. So, Nice thing is that since the story is, mostly written, I have a pretty solid idea of how characters like to hold themselves. So, now we need to make that go that way some. I know, somebody's out there thinking, why is this martial arts kind of gal wearing a corset? She has her own fashion sense. Uh, Actually, just a little more background on her is her upbringing is very much in um, kind of pleasurable settings, you know, dancing girl, uh, dancing girl, courtesan, servant. So she's always supposed to look pretty, and then it finds out, oh yeah, you have superpowers too. So we should probably use those. Let's put a little more angle on the sleeve, on the shoulder, and maybe that will help me to diminish. Honestly, this region of her outfit has been the thing that's bugged me the most about it. Really has. So, no matter how many times I try to draw her, it's one of the things that gives me the most problems. Um, let's step away from fighting. Let's step a little closer to what someone were to suggest. Even without showing anything, she still would draw attention to herself just because, well, that's the kind of person she is. Okay. That. All right. All right. So here's a little bit of an area to start with. Get a bit of an idea just about how she's going to move, position herself. Pardon me. And one of the main thoughts that I have with her is that she's all about attention and being purposeful in her movements, in her actions, everything she does. There's nothing she does that isn't without meaning, at least in her eyes. Partially because she's so desperate to find meaning. Um, when you have a life that everyone tells you what you're supposed to be doing, it's really hard to have a sense of self. And yet, here she is. It just occurred to me, you can't see half of this that I'm showing. Let me adjust this so you can see right where I'm working for the moment. I will adjust it back in a moment. But I figured since I was starting down here, I should show you down here. Okay. Figure I'll go ahead and work in a little shading now. Give her some depth. All right. That's pretty good. And the pencil I'm using now is an F pencil. I use it because it's kind of right in the mid. It's close to the middle. It's very good on making things light, but if I need something to have a dark or an edge, I can do it. It's versatile, and I like that about the pencil. So note all these lines down here that I did. Yeah, now I'm just gonna kind of ease a little bit of that in. Yeah. Just right here, what happened is I had a little bit of a belt concept, so I'm doing that. It's a very small detail, but it's something. It's helpful. Just getting an idea of how things look in a distant galaxy where people can travel by mirror. Hi, your bedroom is in one galaxy, but your living room is on another world. Because if your door is a mirror, if you need to have rooms in different quadrants of the universe, you can do that. You just have to have a mirror get there first. Okay. All right. I'm shading back here on the semi-skirt that she has. Yeah, that's probably a good way to call it, a semi-skirt. I'll have to remember that when I'm editing next. Call it a semi-skirt. Maybe that'll work. Half skirt, maybe. Okay. So I'm using a little more pressure here than I did with this section. And that way, it looks a little different texture-wise. All right, so with this, it's looking. Granted, I should have probably decided this ahead of time. That would have been smart. But it's looking like our light is going to be kind of from this direction. And like that. So we're getting a little light from our perspective, but we're also getting just as much light from a little bit above her too. And that's fine. I'm not going to try to polish off her legs there. It's just, it seems to be a little too much, and I kind of like this flow of movement the way it is, so I'm not going to mess with it too much there. There are times when you know something is working. When you know something is working, be very hesitant to even shade something. If I impart nothing else of worth to you today, let that be the lesson. Don't let shading or extra lines destroy something you've already done right. So you're probably thinking, how do I get more confident in that? Here, we'll go ahead and readjust. So we are working a little bit more toward the top now. Slowly in that direction. All right, so I was saying, How do you get to the point where you have that level of confidence? Well, you have to screw up a lot. But that's all right. Because that's how we learn. We mess up. And we try again. Okay. So I'm using this flashlight to get an idea of how a grip would be, because that's pretty much where I'm at. Is I'm drawing a grip for her weapon. I'm going to go ahead and sharpen again to get a little bit more of an edge on my pencil. And I'm going to do this to also help get a little bit more of an edge on my pencil. More than one way to sharpen your pencil. And one of them doesn't even require a pencil sharpener. Okay. So you might be able to see here. Put a little bit more of a tip on that. I could get a knife out to trim it down more, but it's really not that much of a consequence at this point. I'm not doing a ton of detail work. I'm just doing a little to establish where a few elements are. Okay, so someone's going to say, well then, why aren't you just drawing a lightsaber? Because that's a lightsaber. Well, it's inspired by a lightsaber, yes. But in Tesseract, you don't have battles where your Jedi equivalent, the Inquisitors, like Alindra, where they are able to use their weapons to cut through, for lack of a better term, the Force. Ah, so that's something different. So this will actually curve this way. So what it is, this does not retract out of the handle. The handle has a mirror, and this serves as an activation pack for the distortion field that goes around the blade and for the mirror that brings the blade to and fro. The mirror is at headquarters. So that's the way that her superiors can kind of keep track on her. Is they have the lethal part of her weapon. If she can't get to her weapon, to that lethal part, how can she be a threat? Well, that's the question. I'm not answering that question because that would be telling. I could answer a little bit of it, though. So, this weapon serves as much as a badge of office as an actual weapon. This hand back here, that's her real weapon. go ahead and shift a little bit this way, just like that way. And you have a pretty good view of how things are coming together. One thing I heard not too long ago is that if you can, at all possible, make every line as a single stroke. It's cleaner, it's smoother, and it's a lot less mess. You know what? I just thought that maybe this could work. So I am going, rather than giving her a traditional sleeve, I'm going to put a couple of metal bands to kind of cap her sleeves. And by doing it this way, I can also subtly say things about her as a person. She did have a long periods of enslavement, captivity, and that has put quite a downer on her lifestyle. Again, the smiling. I'm just trying to give you an idea how I draw and how character comes into it. I'm not trying to give away the whole book. I've got to edit the thing after all. And I think when the time comes, I think everyone will enjoy it. It's a nice romp of a sci-fi adventure, but has a few concepts in it to make you think as well. Alright, so I broke that line up a little bit so that I could put folds, because no clothing is without folds. It does not exist. There's going to be a wrinkle somewhere. But wrinkles are good at defining. They're good at telling us how movement has occurred. So yeah. Alright. So here we go. I'm going to fully admit I'm working my way toward this region because the hair doesn't. I don't think the hair is going to be a problem. I don't think that ear is going to be a problem. I like that ear actually. Her neck is a little long. Could fix that. I like this hand, the way it's coming out so far. I like this arm. I like this part of this arm is good. This one's okay, but that's all right. This is the arm doing most of the motion anyway. What I am really concerned with is this region, like I mentioned before, and I am cheating my way toward it. So I guess what I could do here, and I'll repeat it later on, since this is a good point to mention it, is I am available on a variety of social media, because you're supposed to say that sort of thing when you're making any kind of video or talking to anybody online. Hi, Jim, how you doing? Oh, great. Here's my social media profile. Oh, well, I was just going to see how you were today. Yeah, let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit. I try to blog. I fail. I like my blog. I like talking to people on there. I don't have as much feedback as I'd like on it. That's all right. way of things. I know people read it. There's a few. Um, and I know some people don't. And that's all right too. I mean, not everyone's going to. Even people you think are the best people in the world may not read your blog. That is all right. And I'm not just saying that because not everybody is going to be able to do things in the same way. So what I'm doing here, actually I'll tell you that in a minute. So my Twitter is SithLordLB hotmail.com. No, that's not it at all. That's not. It's just SithLordLB. Why would I give you my old email address? I don't even look at it anymore. Hey, if you want to send me a message on there, that's great. You know what? I have an easy way to share with you my social media credentials. I'm doing this to pause and to show you that yes, there actually is stuff going on. See, I have a business card. Dun dun dun. So let's take a closer look real quick at the business card. Yes. So yeah, that's lentberry@gmail.com. http://lentberry.wordpress.com. That's that blog that I like that I don't post to as much. And at SithLordLB on Twitter. Yes, well, I'll put that up again to show you again later. And yes, I did draw that picture. All right. So that's one way to handle that. I just thought of that on the fly, and I hope you're having fun with it. I am not doing this to bore you or bore me or bore anyone. Just to kind of enjoy things. All right, so where are we at? We've gotten the bottom half done to a fantastic amount. In fact, that's so damn good. I wish I could just cut it off right there, show you that part, and say, she's finished. Sorry, guys, that's not the way the world works. There's the important half, okay? This is the important half. This is the important part. Not here, here. Okay? Alright, that was today's feminism lesson of the day. Brought to you by the number 12 and the letter C. Because. Alright. So, alright. Yeah, I don't like doing things the same as everybody else. Yeah, like I said, I'll share the information again, and I'll have links at the bottom of the video. That's easy enough to do. What's harder to do is something original. And you're thinking, well, alright, so far you've got a girl with a sword that looks like a lightsaber who smiles. It's apparently a villain. And, you know, she's moderately, thus far, the way you've drawn her, pretty. So, you're thinking, where's the substance? Well, that's the trick. Where's the difference? The substance. And the difference is partially due to the fact that nothing is ever completely original. Okay? So you have to take your own approach. And as you take your own approach, you discover interesting stories. What makes my stories interesting might be the words I use to put them together. But more importantly than that, it's the perspective in which I approach the story to begin with. Because my approach is going to be mine, your approach is going to be yours, so on and so forth. Let's go ahead and get this hand in. You're thinking, hey, she's thinking, talk to the hand to somebody. Well, maybe. She might be. So, you've seen in Star Wars, so iconic, we'll mention it, where in The Force Awakens, that's the new one, the newest one at this point, and it was darn good. Attack of the Clones. I know, crappy title, but it's got Christopher Lee, and that's who I'm about to talk about. Christopher Lee has this point where he's whipped up on the heroes. Yeah, I know, whipped up. Beating them up. And he extends his hand, kind of like that, and pushes them. It's Anakin he pushes out of the way. Yeah, he pushes Anakin out of the way, having defeated him and already defeated Obi-Wan. So, and then Yoda comes in. But he does that, and then he shoves them with the Force. I'm pretty pleased with how that came out. Now, granted, it's a little jagged line here. That can be fixed. All right. He does that, knocks him down with the Force. Some might call this a Force push. Well, Alindra here, she could do that out of this hand, but not this one. So it's always whoosh. But if she does this, it didn't work. So I want to imply a little bit of movement still with those fingers. Hence this curve. At the same time, I'm trying to give a little bit of that kind of that feminine sort of hand gesture, that graceful motion that you see a pretty girl make with her hand. Or a woman make, she needs to call attention, and it has a very distinctively feminine motion to it. So, and that's what that pinky right there is for. To extend that motion. Okay. And for the record, yes, Alindra is the kind of girl who pays attention to her nails. She may not paint them, but she pays attention to them, and therefore we get to draw them in. Not super long. That's alright. She's in combat. It just get in the way. Alright. So, we're pretty close to the problem areas, or what could be the problem areas. I am really more than anything else right now, I am procrastinating that moment when I have to go up here. Trying to put in a little bit of natural shading to go along with the position of things. Just a little. To let my mind process just how do I want to do this. I'm just using some light strokes here to extend out some of this as it is. Okay, let's go ahead and add in a hemline to this half skirt and put it in on the back part. All right, so the questions were, how do I deal with the chest area? How do I deal with the neck? That's why we use the non-photo blue first, because we can get rid of it. All right, the first thing you could do with a drawing to cover up something like this is you have an idea where things are. So go ahead and just go ahead. Yeah, I know, I'm using this one, but this is why I use a faint line. I'm drawing underneath here, so I'm repositioning some of the features already. However, I'm not repositioning them that much. So I reposition the jaw the most. The mouth is going to be the second most. And the nose almost none. Okay. I'm just trying to get a little bit of the nose in there. And she's at enough of an angle where I'm going to heavily imply the right eye. This is the right eye because you always measure right and left from the perspective of whoever it belongs to. It is on your left, it is their right. There's your anatomy lesson for the day. One trick about drawing hair is not to draw every strand. Unless your name is Luis Royo, you do not need to draw every strand. You draw a few to give an idea of where the hair, that it's hair, and a few more to give the idea of definition. There we go. So, there's some bangs. Very good. Well, we put the part right about here. So that will go through here, and this can go this way. I just put those in there to give me an idea. I'll probably extend a few of them out in a minute. Oh, I nearly forgot something. It's an accent that she likes in her hair. We'll define that more. I wanted to have a guideline for it now, though. And that way, we can play around those edges. Okay? And I'll point out again, I am using this just as much to distract me distract myself from this and this. Okay. Add in a little more volume there and bring the ear back just a tad. Okay. There's a hole for something. She doesn't have to use it, but it's there. All right, so I got that. Go ahead and go under from where the lip is now. I like the top lip here. And we're just gonna, okay. You know, the interesting thing is that there is a few things that are kind of retro, old-fashioned about her design, and yet she isn't at all those things. All right, a little bit light shading. Wow, a bit heavier with the lips than I wanted, but that's okay. And the Filtrum. Add that back in. Okay, one thing that I can also do to rebalance her is I can expand the size of her eyes. It doesn't look like much of a smile, but that's all right. Subtle ways to do that. And remember, we're just doing this to have fun. Yeah. Okay. So there's the front line of their neck. I don't want to do a whole lot with it yet. All right. What if I took a little bit rounder? So, I'm just doing this to get some ideas here. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to really revise something right here on the spot. Just right here. I'm not going to mess with this. This is a good area. I'm not going to mess with this. This is a good area. This right here, I'm going to tinker. I'm going to tinker. All right. So, this is where your happy accidents become worthwhile. Yeah, and this is going to be a kind of a 90s-ish design, I think. I don't sharpen these much, just enough to where I can get smaller lines, because this is what happens when you get big lines. So, all right. See, we already have this intersection, so let's get some use out of it. We've already got. All right, let's talk anatomy for a minute. We've got pushed up mass. All right. Two large, semi-large, whatever there might be, two mounds of adipose tissue. That's fat for layman. Pushed this direction. So one thing we're already going to have is this. Okay? We already have this. This is not a question of what do we have. This is a question of what is there. All right? So, I've got a couple ways I can go with it. I can play coat a little bit and make the line go here, which could be interesting. Goes a little Farscape. Oh, darn. I love Farscape. Let's do it. Let's do it. I am going to put something similar to this right in here. So it doesn't seem as out of control. It will seem a little more Farscape. I don't mind. I enjoy Farscape, and I think others should do the same if given the opportunity. All right. So now I have a point to connect that to. And that. Now, to be fair, I'm going to add this. You're like, oh, Lynn, you're ruining it. No. I'm making it logical. You're not going to have this pressed up against your body. Any ladies out there who wear and use corsets can probably attest to that. All right. Just dabbing it to get the excess out of the way. That's all I'm doing at this point is just getting the excess out of the way. Very cool. All right, that made that outfit look a little different, and I like it. All right, still a little further to go. We're almost done though. Remember, we had a neck issue with the initial sketch. So the way we fix it is we just make her, part of the way is we just make her hair have more volume. So here, we'll just go down here. All right. This side we're going to do here, like so. All right. So one of the things too with hair is you want to get the shapes in, and then you can add in the details. So her hair does this, and we can give it a little more definition this way. Clearly she sprayed it. We can do something here though. We can use that to imply a little more motion. Just little accents, that's all it is. Little accents. Alright, and what else do we have? So at this point, I'm just giving volume and a little more definition. Because of this, the lighting, remember, I want on lower parts, like here and here, I want to imply more darkness. Upper parts, like here, I want to have a bold line, and that'd be about it. Alright, this didn't come out perfect, I admit, but it's pretty good, and I'm pleased with that. And you know what pleases me more? Is that I have been able to do this and to share it with you. Let's go ahead and just make it singular today. I like to do that. Okay. All right. So there she is. My latest go around with Alindra Vordrinn from Tesseract. Just helped me figure some stuff out about her. Even though I already put my name on it, I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more here. And maybe next time we'll have something a little bit more interesting, a lot more fun. So, as promised, you can find me online in many locations. If you want to send me an email, it's lentberry@gmail.com. My blog is at http://lentberry.wordpress.com. On Twitter, I am at SithLordLB. And I don't currently have a named Facebook, but that'll be added as well. And you can enjoy that too. And hopefully we can talk more. And if anyone has ideas for what I could do the next time, I will gladly entertain them. For now, I will leave you with a closing shot of this image that you've gotten to watch me draw, and I hope that you have a wonderful day, night, tomorrow, yesterday, and beyond.